Okay, a very good evening to all of you, and welcome to this workshop. This workshop is called as Learn the Basics of Self-Care. So, a very warm welcome from Harmony, which is a meditation center by the medical experts. And this is Dr. Anirban Pal to take you through this workshop. Before I start, let me tell you that the first part of the workshop, you will be muted, those who have joined it live. And in the second part, we will be taking your queries regarding the learnings. And in that part, you will be able to interact with me. So you can unmute in the second part of the workshop. So before I start, I need a confirmation from those who have joined it. Um, that you can hear me, you are getting my voice clear, so we can proceed with the workshop. You can write in chat option, so please let me know. Yes, thank you for the confirmation. So I think the voice is coming loud and clear to every one of us. uh, just a very small introduction that I am a doctor working in South Kolkata area, and I am associated with this organization called Harmony, which actually teaches mindfulness meditation. It does research with mindfulness meditation and also tries to spread awareness about different things like meditation and other associated things. Today's workshop is the first in this series of the workshop, which are named as Healing the Healers, and it is focused on the persons who are associated with healthcare system, so the healthcare providers. And today we will be focusing on something called as the self-care. So let's start. So I will be starting with a small real life story. Almost every week, I get a number of phone calls from different people, mostly in the healthcare system. And I remember that just 2 weeks back, I got a call from a lady. She was appearing very nervous, very anxious, and she called me. And what she said, that there is a problem going on in her workplace, and some sort of crisis is going on in her workplace, and that is making her very unstable. So she is unable to handle it well. And along with this, she also shared something, that there are some problems in her family. Maybe she was talking about that she has to care for her dependent parents, and her father is down with some serious problem, maybe a terminal illness. So at this moment, she can't leave the job and switch the job or do something like that. So she has to stay there. And she was finding the whole situation very difficult to handle. Her voice was enough to tell me that how panicky she was feeling and how insecure she was feeling and how difficult it is for her to handle the whole situation. So you see that this problem is not an isolated one. It is not that a particular person is getting into this problem and it is not that others are doing it well. Because if you look in general at this Indian healthcare system, so this whole system, there is a major problem with this system because it is not perhaps functioning in the way it should be. It is some faults are there, some loopholes are there, and those are major loopholes. And those of us who are working within that system as doctors, as nurses, as health assistants, as other service providers, so we are facing the brunt of it. So just a small statistics to make you understand that around 80% of the persons who are working as healthcare providers, they are suffering from stress. So the number is very high. You can just imagine that if it is around 70-80%, so out of 3 persons, suppose those who have joined this workshop, so you can just imagine out of 3 persons, 2 of us are suffering from very significant amount of mental stress. And if you look at the percentage of anxiety and depression and other disorders, you will see that that is also very high. It is nearly about 50%. So out of 2 people who are working in the healthcare system, one of us is suffering from anxiety or depression. And the whole thing is quite alarming. So many people are running into this difficult problems of life just by working in a particular system itself speaks loads about the faults of the system. And this workshop is just a reminder to all of you that don't think that you are isolated. Don't think that you are only facing the problem. As I am running this meditation center for nearly 6.5 years, so every week I get a lot of distress calls from different part of the society, and most of them are healthcare providers. So just to make you a little bit aware that if you feel that you are facing some of these symptoms, you must be aware that something is going wrong. Okay. These are certain early signs of burnout. So if you are into prolonged stress, slowly you will be experiencing something which we call as burnout. And these early signs are just like maybe you are finding yourself a little confused. You are unable to think clearly. So you are losing your mental clarity. So if you are feeling like that I'm not able to look at things very clearly, or I'm getting confused in situations, so that may be an early sign. And it may be like that you love to do certain things, but slowly you are losing interest in doing those things. So you are becoming very indifferent and you are unable to engage in the things you like to do or you love to do. So this can be another important sign. And it may be so that you are feeling the negative emotions very much, because we see this very often among the people around us. Even they are occupying some higher positions in certain institutions or in certain societies. They are very respected people. And you will see that they are snapping off very often. Certain person is getting angry or showing certain negative emotions in places where it should not be displayed in that manner. So if you see that you are losing control over your so-called negative emotions, you are getting angry very often, or you are feeling all the negative emotions very often, then you should be just a little bit alert. And many of us, we have this problem that this burnout can come as a physical symptom also. So we feel extremely fatigued. So this, I think many of you can relate, that this fatigue is, you feel very tired. Even when you wake up early in the morning and you are going to start a day, you are feeling tired. So this is just an indicator. This tiredness, it is not your physical tiredness. Please remember this. You are thinking that I am getting tired because of my body. It may not be just the body. It is along with the body, you are also mentally very fatigued, mentally very tired. So please take care of this type of physical symptoms. And irritability. So you will be seeing that you get irritable at each and every reason. Even the reasons which are out of your control or which are very simple reasons, you will see that you are just shouting out and getting irritable at each and every person. It can be on the street, it can be at your house, it can be at any place, it can be in a workplace. You will see that some people are so irritated with each and everything. Whenever there is a little discrepancy happening, so you get extremely irritated and you lose control over yourself. If these things are happening with you, please take care of yourself. And what is the remedy? So many people calling, and we are seeing that there is a huge percentage of the people who are working in this healthcare system who are facing this very significant amount of mental stress and mental morbidities. So, can't we do anything about this? So, this is emerging as a major problem among us. So, as healthcare providers, can't we do anything about this? Surely, I think there is something to be done. Yes, the healthcare system, there are major issues with that. And we as individuals, we hardly can go and change the healthcare system. Or wherever you are working, it's not easy to change your job to another institution. Wherever you go, you will face some other problems and it will make your life more difficult. So, from here, let's try to understand that there is something to be done on our part also. It is not that we can't do anything about this. You need to understand that this profession where you are into, this particular work you are doing, where you are involved as a professional, it is actually draining you out. So if you imagine yourself to be a vessel, you imagine yourself as to be a cup. So you'll see that this system is draining out your cup. So you are getting empty. And you can well understand that you can't pour from an empty cup. So that is the major problem with you. So every day, suppose some amount of liquid which is there inside the cup is getting drained out. So what will happen? Day in, day out, most of us, we work almost 6 days a week, even more. And we have shift duties. Some of us, we do night shifts. We have different types of duties. Okay. So you see that day in, day out, suppose you lose some amount of liquid from the vessel you are. So by a few days time, few weeks time, few months time, slowly you will see that as a person, if you imagine yourself as a cup, as a vessel, you will be getting empty. And that is the major problem with us. So what we can do is refill ourselves. So by doing self care, we can refill our cup. So we make sure that the vessel does not get empty. Because once you get empty, there is a major problem happening with you. So just imagine that what you are going to give to others. You can only give to others what you have inside yourself. So if you are just putting in more anxiety inside yourself, if you are getting very much stressed, so what is happening? So that is what you are giving to others. So you meet another person, some of your family member or your friend, or maybe someone in your workplace. So what you give to that person? You just hand over that anxiety, hand over that stress, hand over the instability that is inside yourself to that person. Hand over your negative emotions to that person because you are only filled up with those things. And in contrast, just think that if you are filled up with a lot of peace, so you are a very calm person, you are at peace with yourself, you are someone who is mentally very stable, okay, you are unaffected by the usual challenges. So when you meet another person, that is the same thing which you give to that person. So once that person comes to your connection, that person understands, oh, I have met a person who is at peace with himself or herself. So that is the quality you are going to transfer to that person. And whatever you have inside yourself, if it is love, kindness, compassion, all the good qualities, if you can inculcate within yourself those beautiful qualities, those are the things you are going to distribute or you are going to transmit to the people around you. They can be your family members, they can be your children, they can be your parents, they can be your spouse, whoever it is. And it will be a very nice thing if you can understand this. And here, please understand that taking care of yourself is the most important thing, which we call as the self care. And this is not selfish, because there is a misunderstanding in our society, there is a misconception in our society. When you take care of yourself in whatever manner, in whichever way, lot of people around you, in your family, outside you, they start thinking that you are becoming very selfish. It is not that way. Because if your cup becomes empty, just understand this, that you will not be able to give anything. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. So you become non functional to others, to yourself. So the cup has to be filled, and it has to be filled with positive qualities. And in this aspect, you need to start with something which we call as self care. There is a major misunderstanding in this. The problem with us, those who are working in the sector of healthcare, is we are not aware of our problems. So most of us, even when we are facing major problems, we think that we are doing well. And until some devastating thing happen, until a major accident happen with us or with our colleagues, we are unable to understand that what problem is going on. And once we think of doing something, that how to handle the problem, let us start with self care. If I say, so you will be thinking that why I should do self care. People around you will inhibit you from doing the self care. So when you start with self care, first you have to be convinced with yourself that I am doing it for myself, and that is the best thing I can do with myself and with others. I need my cup to be full so the I can just transmit that to others. So please remember, self care is not selfish. That is the best thing you can do at this moment in your life. So, in this workshop, basically, we are going to discuss today the basics of self care. So, self care itself, it's a big subject. So, in whichever field you are, you know that each and every subject is very big. So, similarly, self care, it has different components, it has different things. So, today, this workshop will be covering only some basics of it so that you know at least something about it and you can start with it. So, we will be discussing what is this self care, why self care is important, and how to start with self care. So, three very important questions which we will be trying to answer in this workshop. It will require some of your understanding, so please listen very carefully. So, these three questions are basically interrelated. So, once you start understanding it, you will understand the whole part of it. And if you can understand it and start with this, it can be a life transforming experience for yourself. It is not for others. First, you have to work on yourself, you have to take care of yourself. And once you take care of yourself, then only you can be able to support other people. Okay? So let's start understanding self care. So, what do you mean by self? So, we are talking about self care. So, what do you mean by self? So, self is about your existence. You are a human being. So, you have a body. You have a human body, and you have something which we call as the mind. So, I think most of you will agree that you have a body and you have a mind. And this together makes the self, though it is not so easy. If you look at self from other perspectives, the answer will be very different, the understanding will be very different. But let's make the things very easy. And for this introductory workshop, just let us restrict it to two components of our existence. One is the body, and one is the mind. So these two are very interrelated things, the body and the mind. So you can just think of them as, suppose your mobile phone or your laptop. Just take a electronic device. So each device has a hardware and a software. So here the same thing. The body is the hardware. So you can see the body, you can see the body, feel the body. understand that there is a body and there is something which is working as a software, and that is the mind. So let us first take the body and see that how we can take care of this body. So this body is just suppose you have bought a new car. Okay, so you go to the showroom and you buy a new car. So the car is yours now. So the body is yours. Now, what you do with the car? So you will be taking the car to different places. So obviously the car needs fuel or petrol or whatever fuel. Okay, so you have to put some fuel into the car so the car is able to move. So you have to need petrol or diesel or CNG, whatever. So some fuel has to be there to take the car forward to go from one place to another. So similarly, your body, if you just imagine it to be a car, so you need some fuel. So what is that? Food. So be very careful about what you take as food. So we are very casual about our food. We take whatever is given to us. The food is guided by our habits and different factors. But please remember that this is a very important aspect in your life. What fuel you are giving into the car, that is very, very important. And many of us, we don't know that this GI system through which the food is going through, it is processed. This is also called as the second brain. It has a huge nervous system called as the enteric nervous system, and it is closely connected with our brain, and it has a lot of things to do with our mind, with our moods. I think some of you must have got some idea about this, that food is not just food, it is something else. Because you see, I will be just giving you a very little idea that many of you must have heard the name of serotonin. 90% of the serotonin receptors are present in our gut, in our GI system. And serotonin is related to happiness. It is called as the happiness hormone. So you see that it is slow, so it is closely related, the gut, with our minds, our moods, and this food which we are taking is very, very important. So most of us, we are taking some food which is not good for our gut. It is the bacteria in our gut, the microorganisms in our gut, which determine the health of the gut. And it needs good food, nutritious food. So if you are not feeding them with the good food, if you are lot into the outside food or the unhealthy foods, it is going to affect you in a major way. Please think about this. The next thing, if you are just thinking of your body as a car, the next important thing will be how the body is working. So I remember that when I bought my car, it was comparatively new. So I went to a service center. It was the first service of the car. the workshop. It was hardly, the car was 1 month old. And I asked the service person out there that you claimed that will, the car will be giving so much, so mileage, but it is hardly giving it. It is actually what has been promised. It is giving the 50% of that mileage. The service person, he smiled and said, "Sir, you have to drive your car. So, how many kilometers have you driven?" And it was hardly a few kilometers. So, unless you drive your car every day, unless you go on driving it, the mileage is not going to improve. The same with us. So, every day, your body needs some sort of exercise so that the blood goes into the different muscles and a lot of things are going to happen. It can be just a brisk walk for 30 minutes. It is not that you have to every day have to hit the gym and do something. It is not like that. It can be some freehand exercise. It can be just a brisk walking of 30 minutes, but that has to be there. And many of us, we don't know that this is also very closely related to our minds, to our moods. I think many of you must have noticed. So, as you start walking, after 15-20 minutes, you start feeling well. Why? Because certain chemicals are secreted inside our body, which are called as endorphins. Along with this, also serotonin, dopamine, these hormones are secreted. And these endorphins are related to ecstasy. The serotonin is related to happiness. Dopamine is related to relaxation. So you walk for 30 minutes every day, you will be relaxed, you will be happy, you will be ecstatic. So you see that these are not simple things as we think, that most of us think, though we don't have this practice of into some regular exercise or walking. And in one of the seminars I heard that it was said that Indians are very poor at this. Hardly 15% or 20% of the Indians as a whole, they are into some sort of daily exercise. At least they go for a 30 minutes walking every day. So the car has to move so that you get a better mileage. Similarly, for yourself, some amount of exercise or walk has to be there for you to take it forward, to get the maximum out of it. And then another very important thing, just last week, one of my school friends, he is just being moving from one city to another. He is not a doctor. Okay. So he is a IT person, and due to his work, he is just shifting from Kolkata to Bangalore. So he said that unfortunately he has an autistic child. And we were just talking, and he said that, look, I can't take the flight or the train because my child gets very, it's very challenging to handle the child in public transport. She feels very uneasy with other people, whenever she sees a lot of people around. So I need to go by my car. So I said that why, okay, so it's around a 36 hours journey from Kolkata to Bangalore. So you will be taking your car and you will be covering in it 36 hours. And he said that you must be joking. My car is nearly 15 years old. And if I take it for a 36 hours drive, it will crash midway. Same with our bodies. So your bodies are equally old. It can be 50 years, it can be 60 years, it can be even more, it can be lesser. But those I think who have joined this workshop, it is quite a considerable time. So your bodies are old in that sense. So please think of this, that if you just go on driving your body, because body is just a machine, it needs adequate rest. Unless you are giving rest to your body, the body is going to crash. So every day, at least a 6 to 8 hours of sleep is very, very important. And don't compromise on the sleep. Because most of us, what we are doing to work more, to give more productivity, so what we are compromising on is our sleep. So we are reducing it less, 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 less. Just a few hours. Don't do that. That is extremely harmful to your body. Allow the body to sleep for 6 to 8 hours. So, my friend, he said that I will reach Bangalore, I will take my car, but I will take 3 days' time. Every day I will travel for 12 hours. So, I will make 36 hours in 3 days. And every night I will be staying in some hotel and just giving that car some amount of rest, at least one night rest, and then again the next morning we will again start. In this way, we will cover the distance. Same with you. Please don't go on working, 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 and doing. It is not only professional work, it can be your family, it can be your personal work, it can be other works. You have to give that time to your body every day. You have to ensure there is a good sleep for 6 to 8 hours. And in addition to this, if you are suffering from, already you are diagnosed with some medical problems, please take care of yourself. So whatever medicines have been prescribed, please do take them on time. If you have other problems, or you think that certain tests need to be done, get yourself regularly checked. Please don't neglect yourself. Medically, whatever is needed, you should be doing those things. So, we cover one part of our existence, which is an easier part because it is visible, the hardware, the body. Another part, the software, which is a more difficult part to understand and to handle, is our minds. Today, I will be just telling you some basic things about your mind. Unfortunately, this is one area where we know hardly anything about ourselves. May I ask you that how your mind functions? Do you know it? How your emotions are functioning, how you react to different situations, how your mind is handling different situations. Do you know all these mechanisms? The answer is a straight no. Because to understand your mind, this is a long term process. It requires very in depth exploration of the mind. So let's not get into the depth of it, but let's start with some basic things. At least you should be knowing this, that how you can just implement these things and help yourself to have a healthy mind. So let's compare our mind with, we thought that our body was just like a car. So let's think that our minds are maybe just a small garden house. Maybe you have a small garden house, a small house with a garden. So just think of our minds as a garden house. So what are you going to do with your garden house? Suppose someone gifts you a garden house, a small house with a garden in front. The first thing you will be doing is to create a boundary around that. So you need to protect your property because other people will be intruding into it, or they will be doing certain things which you don't want them to do. So with your minds also, you need to create boundaries. So something will be there. You need to create a boundary that you will be not taking those things into yourself. So you start this by saying no. So we, each and every one of us, we are humans, we have our own limitations. And you will see that in your workplace, in other fields of life, people will be always demanding something from you. It can be your family, it can be different relationships, it can be your professional field. So you will be in continuously demanding. Something is being demanded from you. So learn to say no. Just a polite no, that this is beyond my capacity. Everything cannot be given a green signal. You have to protect yourself, your mind. So there has to be a boundary. Anyone says anything, just casually you say a yes, or you are not comfortable saying no, that's why you say a yes. And that is only going to make your life more difficult. So please learn to say no. So whenever you think that this will be very much difficult for myself, without feeling guilty, just plain and simply say a no. Create your boundary. Protect your mind with a boundary. The next thing, what you will do? So if you have a house, first you have to make sure that it is a tidy one. So all the untidiness you have to take care of. So here, for your mind, you have to stop hurting yourself, harming yourself, as well as others. Do you know that India ranks number one in most toxic environment, working environment in the world? So where you are working, unless a few blessed ones, that working environment is going to be an toxic one. So please remember that you don't contribute to that toxicity and try not to participate in that toxicity. So it so happens that many a times we start harming ourselves. We start hurting ourselves with different things. Suppose when we are not doing well or some job is being given to us, we don't perform well, we start harming ourselves. And then what we also do is the people around us, we start harming them. It is, I'm not talking about physical harm. It is through our words, through our thoughts. So you create negative thoughts about other persons. You wish that this person, you harm them through your thoughts. And you say something which actually harms them. So stop doing this. Stop harming yourself and harming others. This is very, very important. Just try to clear the untidiness which is inside yourself or inside the house. the next important thing, try to do something which is positive. It can be in different ways. So, in terms of your house, you will be trying to decorate the garden. You will be trying to make all the rooms clean and tidy. So, do the same for your mind. So, you try to cultivate some positive things inside yourself. It can be love, it can be kindness, it can be compassion. And please remember that the mind also requires relaxation, rest. And that is not that once you will take some day off and then you will relax. It is not that. It's a daily relaxation is needed. Your mind also needs time to rest, to relax. Give it that time. Understand what it wants. There must be certain activities which are beyond your professional activities and your daily commitments which you love to do. Maybe you love to sing, maybe you love to listen to some music, maybe you love to read a few pages of a storybook. So, whatever it is, just devote that time, give it that time, give it that relaxation. Just you somehow you have to manage time and just provide it with this. And the fourth thing for the mind will be try to organize your mind. This is not a one day process. This is not something you can do in days or weeks. It will take a long time. But this is something which is most important. Try to organize your mind. And here comes this process of mindfulness. So, some of you who have joined, you already know that mindfulness is a sort of mind training where we observe our inner psyche. What are the thoughts, feelings, emotions that are arising within us? We start observing them, and slowly we bring the mind to the present moment without judging the mind. So, this is a training process. It usually at least takes a month to understand the process and get into the process. It's a long process, and then it has to be continued. There are a lot of principles, lot of understanding that has to come into this, but this is really effective. Organizing the mind, even if you don't want to do mindfulness, or if you'd like to start with organizing, just think that where my mind is going or how I can perform better with this. Maybe you are overusing your mind. If you look at your mind, you will see it's a chaos out there. Lot of thoughts, lot of feelings just moving around and total chaotic situation. Just if you look inside yourself. So slowly, you have to clear that chaos and bring in some order there. Because unless you work on it, by some time your life is going to be a chaos. The inner chaos is going to reflect in your outer activities, what you do in your life. So that part has to be there. So just whatever I said till now, let's just sum it up. So today we talked about uh, the basics of self care. And I have deliberately not discussed one thing. So we have talked about the physical part of it, the body. So our self consists of the body and the mind, along with this, some other dimensions. Another very important dimension is the social dimension. So, how you are interacting with people. And this dimension can also give you another edge. So, suppose you are feeling very stressed, You just call up one of your friends and you talk 10 minutes, you will see that the stress has got released. So try to connect with people who can be helpful or who can actually help you to get out of your stress. So have positive connections. And one very, very important thing which is coming as a major stressor in our life is our use of mobile phones and internet, the social media. So try to restrict it, try to get less into it because it itself is a major stressor. The mobile phone or the electronic media, they are very, very important in our life. But where we are losing out is we are unable to make out which part is the utility part and which part is the pleasure part. So the two are getting mixed up and we are totally moving in some direction which is very harmful for ourselves. And the more the newer generations, they are picking up this harmful habit more. So a lot of things are coming into our lives which are virtual, which doesn't exist, which are optional, and we can get rid of those things. So think of your mobile usage, how much of it is utility and how much of it is random or just pleasure. If you can just make out, just keep the utility part. The things which are non-essential, try to decrease that part or work on that part. So just to give you a total overview of the basics of healthcare, self-care, sorry. So the physical part of it, I've already talked about this. The diet, try to avoid outside food because you have no control over the quality of food which you are taking. So select your food very carefully. Make sure that they are nutritious and they are necessary for your gut because gut has a major role to play in your life. Think about the daily activity. So if you are not doing this, start doing this. At least brisk walking for 30 minutes every day. At least 5 days a week. So start with this. I'm sure most of you, 80% of you are not into this. You are not having any regular physical activity. It is not that you do it one day in a week or something which you have to do it daily, and ensure that you get a 6 to 8 hours of good sleep. For your mind, I've written out here mindfulness because that can be a life-changing thing. But to start with, you can start just by protecting yourselves. So here it has been written as restrictions. So putting some restrictions, not participating in toxicity. It can be the toxicity of your working place and trying to create positivity inside yourself. It can be relaxation, it can be other things. But this is very, very important. So your mind, please remember, as your body needs some rest in form of sleep, you cannot compromise with it 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Similarly, your mind also needs rest. So it has to be at least around 20 minutes of rest to the mind. Otherwise, the mind will get extremely tired. So you have to give this rest to the mind also. And along with this, the social component where you can identify the connections which gives you positivity, which helps you to relax, connection with friends, family, it can be anything. And also thinking about this time you spend on your mobile phone, and how useful is that, how it is contributing to the good to your life. If it is not contributing, you need to cut off, you need to make it minimal. So this is the basics. And once you start with this basics, you will see that the stress and the other problems which you are at present facing in your life, there will be a major decrease in those problems. You will be handling your whole life better as you start with the self care. Now you will be asking me that how to start with the self care. So with this knowledge, let us start with the practice of self care. So let us start with this maybe tomorrow. So if we can just implement this. And today we are not going to discuss details about the plan. We will take this in our next online workshop. The next part, we will get into the details of the plan and get into more details of mindfulness and mind care. Just to start with, suppose wherever you work, most of us, we work for around 8 hours, 8 hours plus. And I know there are people who are working in their professional field and the work is much more. It can be 12 hours, 14 hours. Okay. So that is itself a major stressor. So one thing you have to ensure that at least you target for an 8-hour sleep. That is difficult, but you have to target it. And the rest, what is left behind, at least you have to ensure that you do 30 minutes of some brisk walking or physical exercise, and maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes of some relaxation activity for the mind. You can spend in some activity you love to do. Okay. So if you just break this last 8 hours, it will be this 1 hour time. This we called as a me time. This is for myself. I am not going to share it with others. This is not selfish. The 7 hours time, the 7 which is written in green, is you have to spend for other activities. Maybe your family activities, you have a lot of work for other commitments to do in your life. So those will be spent out there. Okay. So it is not only a professional work. So that is 8 hours. It can stretch up to 12 hours, 14 hours. So the last of the 7 plus 1 hour, it is going to decrease from there. So whatever decrease happens in any of the component, please ensure the sleep has to be there. Don't compromise on your sleep. And find out 1 hour of me time every day. Because unless you give this me time within a few days, few weeks, you are going to be an empty cup, an empty vessel, and you will have nothing inside yourself to share with others. So you have to fill up that cup just by ensuring that every day you give at least 1 hour of me time. This is the message of this particular workshop. Somehow you have to bring in this in your life. Unless you are doing this, you will be extremely stressed, and after some time you will be totally exhausted, you will be totally burnt out in your life. And in this 1 hour to start with, you half an hour you do some physical activities, and the rest of the time, whatever you, in whichever way you want your mind to relax, you do with that thing. Okay. So in the next session we will be talking about more details about how you can plan your self care. I think this was just to start with the process. So once you start, maybe we will be organizing the next workshop, maybe next month or after that. So you give me a feedback. Most of you are into a particular WhatsApp group. So if you have liked today's session, you need to know more about this and how you can do more about mind care, please let me know. So we will incorporate mind care as well as plan of self care into the next session. Just to tell you that mindfulness is a very effective tool, and this is not because I am saying this. This is scientifically proved and this is evidence based. So we've been working on this for around more than 6 years. So it has been tried on healthcare providers who are in this sector. It can actually decrease stress, anxiety, and depression because it is helping you to organize your mind and to understand how your mind is functioning. It is a form of mind training. So the take home points from my end will be, I think you have understood what is self care. It is caring about yourself, and the self is your body and your mind together. So, for your body, we have talked about the food, the exercise or the walk, the sleep, and if you have any clinical disease, you should be taking the medicines and taking care of that. For the mind, if you remember, I talked about creating boundaries, which is very, very important, not getting too much involved in different things and getting too much bothered, and not participating in the toxicity. Please, you ensure yourself that you are not creating any toxicity and being positive. So inculcating all the positive things inside yourself, and also this also includes giving some relaxation to your mind. And finally, the most important will be slowly starting to organize your mind, because your mind determines the persona you have in your life or how you are going on in your life. Okay. So I think you have understood that why self care is important. It is all about filling your cup. So make sure that you are not moving around with an empty cup. Your cup needs to be filled. And how to start? Start with this formula 8 plus 8 plus 8. So some time has to be given for the walk. You cannot do anything about it. If this is instead of 8, it is 12, then you have to compromise with the last component. And the message of the session is that at least 1 hour you have to spend for yourself, which is your me time, which you are not going to share with not even your family members, not even with any other people. That is just for maintaining yourself. And that you can start with a mix of physical as well as mental relaxation. So I will end the workshop here and I will take your queries. So I will let you unmute. So if you have any queries, I will try to answer that query. You can unmute yourself. Any specific queries, any part you want me to repeat, or and please share a feedback that was the session helpful to you? Did you learn something new from the session, or you would like to use this tool in your life to improve your life? Yes. Any queries? You can unmute and ask.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
I am Dr. Rudranil.
Yes, Dr. Rudranil, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. It was a nice session, I would like to say, really insightful. Also, I would like you to give some insight to pay some attention to the corporate toxicity, that is the toxicity that is prevalent in the private hospitals. I would like you to say some words about them, or is there any
Okay.
way to deal with it, about that management part in particular? Please, sir.
Okay. So you see that it is not about corporate or government. Okay. So every place I have worked both in government hospitals, in government setups, and as well as in corporate setups, as well as in non-governmental setups, in different categories of setups. I was fortunate enough that in my professional career, I had that opportunity to work. So each and every place has its own toxicity. So the message of today's workshop is that if you just go on discussing the toxicity, it is not going to help us, because suppose you are into a corporate hospital or you are going in a corporate setup, so it will be having its own problems, it will be having its own challenges, it will be having its own toxicity. So just by discussing those things, we are unable to do any good, because we are unable to change those toxicities. But what I would like to impress upon all of you is that what we can do is to work on ourselves. So here what we talked about is about filling the cup. This is just like a shield. So this self care thing is a shield. So you are into, suppose, into a war where you cannot control the action of the enemy or the people who are in your enemy group. So they will come and they will hit you, they will come and they will kill you. So what you can do on your part is you can just put in an armor, you can put in a shield, so that you get the impact of that insult gets lesser for you. Okay. So from my perspective, there is no point discussing toxicities, because there will be no end to those discussions, and ultimately we will be just ending up with a huge amount of garbage which will be not helping us. Here we are looking at the problem, what we can do as individuals. We also have a lot of limitations, but still, in this environment, in this toxic environment, at least we can do something for ourselves, at least we can bring in some protection for ourselves. That is the concept of this workshop. At least we can work on ourselves and prevent from getting affected from these toxicities. It can be a corporate, it can be a government, it can be other things. Okay. Hope I am able to clear your query, and thank you for raising the query. Yes, any other queries, or we will be just yes,
Yes, sir. I think
yes.
whatever you told in this session, in
Yes.
this workshop,
Mm-hmm.
is absolutely perfect. Why? Because in every occupation,
Yes, yes, yes,
situation is
yes,
same.
yes, yes,
Whether I am working in the healthcare or
yes,
whether I
yes,
am
yes.
working, because
Mm.
as an as a marine engineer, I work also in the same way, and that
Actually,
is
there is
20.
a the healthcare facility. It is more challenging because here we are directly dealing with lives of patients, and that is an additional problem, because there are a lot of emotional turmoil that the healthcare professionals they go through as they deal with patients. Okay.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely right.
that is making the situation even worse. So the
Correct.
people who are working in other fields, they are not facing that amount of turmoil inside themselves, and we are always dealing with lives. So many a times, I can say from my perspective as a doctor, when you see that you are unable to always save lives, so there will be always loss of lives. And not only the loss, there are other problems which we have to face. There can be some serious diseases or some negative outcomes coming up, and we have to take those blames, though we are not directly involved in that thing. So those who are into the healthcare, they know, because they have to deal with this day in day out. So suppose a nurse who is taking care, she is not directly involved in this, but maybe some person starts blaming her or saying something which is not very acceptable. So you see that the problem is much more intensified in the healthcare sector. Okay, so that's why we have started with this series of healing the healers, because the person who is actually giving the service is getting drained out, is getting burnt out. So what service can be expected of such persons? If you are into severe stress, you are depressed, you are severely anxious, so what quality of service you can give to your patients? Hardly you can give something. Okay, so that there is a
Agreed.
huge problem which is arising out of this. And what you are going to give to the family members with whom you are sharing your space. Because if you are stressed, someone comes to you with an emotional problem, you cannot help that person.
Right.
Okay, because you are at the brink of just breaking down, and another person comes and he says that, how please help me. So you cannot extend your help to that person. So that is a
So,
major problem happening with all of us who are into this healthcare sector.
so particularly for this, so we should think about ourselves or in this subject, the self-care, that
Yes.
non-judgmental.
A lot of thought, as the first question which was asked, a lot of things has to be from the healthcare sector itself. The people who are sitting at the top of this, and it is not like the whole thing is running in a not very good manner. So just if you remember at the start of the session, I discussed some statistics. So if you are into a system where 80% of the people are showing some signs of stress, so obviously this whole system is faulty. So there are major problems with the system. Or in a system where around 50% of the persons who are working in the system are suffering from anxiety and depression, and I get frequent calls every week. I used to get a lot of calls, people, they are discussing different problems with me and related to this healthcare thing. So you can understand it is actually getting into a pandemic thing. It is just like corona hit us, some mental pandemic is hitting us for those who are working in the healthcare. And obviously, as we know, that it is not, we cannot handle the corona in a single way. There has to be multimodal approach to this. So the healthcare itself system has to understand and take some steps. We who are suffering, we also need to take some steps for ourselves. So this is a major problem, and it has to be multimodal. You see that when this workshop, the this was shared, most people didn't feel to join it because they are not even aware of their own problem. They don't even know that slowly they are getting into a major problem themselves. Okay, the awareness is very, very low in our country. People, unless something hit you very badly, or you are totally derailed in your life, or some accidents happen in your life, most of us, we don't understand that we are into some unhealthy system or some problems. Okay, so the awareness has to be raised. People needs to understand themselves that, okay, this problem is not only mine, this is of the whole system itself. And in the best possible ways, we need to handle it. And we need to start from ourselves. At least something is in our hand which we need to do, and then see that how other people or how other measures are coming. Okay, thank you, sir, for raising this question. I think I have exceeded the time of the workshop by 15 minutes. And I would like to thank all of you for coming in and participating here. I would be ending the workshop here. And if you like this workshop, if you think that there is something to learn from it, please mention in the group, WhatsApp group. We will be taking it forward, similar workshops forward, and more interactive workshops. And we will be sharing more information with you and helping you with more tools through which you can handle the things better. So we will continue with this series of Healing the Healers. Thank you once again, and a very good night from my end as I end this workshop today. Thanks once again.